OK, so I think this week Keir Starmer squandered an opportunity to actually bring people together in this country and maybe avoid some of the trouble that we've seen over the last few days and possibly will see this weekend. Instead, he chose to deliver his speech in Downing Street from a lectern, looking very prime ministerial, and instead of bringing himself together, he gave what I consider to be the most divisive speech that a politician, let alone a PM, has ever given in this country. We are in trouble, there is no doubt. And in times of trouble, all members of society should be able to look to their leaders to offer support, to offer guidance, and to bring people together with a rallying cry of we can do this together. But in a few short sentences, Keir managed to alienate a whole section of society. In labelling the Troubles as far right, Keir decided that the working man was to be isolated and separated from society and deplored, because that working man is the oil of society, the plumbers, the electricians, the shop workers, me as a doctor. Because we are concerned about the effect of mass immigration on our culture from countries who have nothing in common with us over a very short period of time. The Mandarins of Westminster don't like the working man. In fact, they despise them and they look down on them, and they've decided that they're not worth listening to as before. Anything they say has no value. What Keir could have done this week is said, look, guys, we know there's trouble. We know you're unhappy. We are listening. We just got in power. Please give us a chance. We'll do a roadshow. We'll come and talk to you and we'll put this right together. Just give us time, because violence is not the way. Instead, he said, you're not important.
What kind of roadshow do you want? Antiques roadshow?
I don't care. I want the Prime Minister to talk to us, and I think him to listen.
I have to say, I was pretty angry watching him lay those flowers like it was Remembrance Day, so ceremonial, not very humane, actually. He could have engaged with those people who were heckling. Instead, he acted like they were just this, inconvenient rabble. I didn't want to sort of engage with them at all. It made me feel furious.
Yeah, but I think that's, unfortunately, with Keir Starmer, you've got that kind of almost robotic personality. It doesn't come naturally to him to intervene with a crowd. If someone like David Cameron or Tony Blair, Boris Johnson would have managed to carry that off, but not everybody can. Theresa May was a prime example of somebody that was uncomfortable in that situation. So I think that's his personality. He isn't quite that good at it. But this is what we've got. He needed to go up there. He would have been criticised if he didn't lay flowers. Unfortunately, the way he did it looked as if, you're right, he was at the Cenotaph or somewhere like that. He needed to cut something in between.
But do you think there's no sort of... I mean, Benjamin, you probably would disagree with those who've been saying that he's not distinguishing enough between the far right and those people who have legitimate concerns, fears, are legitimately angry about what's happened, and that in some ways that the term... far right is just other groups wouldn't be tarred with one brush in the same way. It actually happened with the Islamist protests. People said, oh, but it's only a small number of people. It's not all of them. They're just sort of concerned about what's happening in Palestine.
I think there's something seriously wrong in the head with a person who heckles the Prime Minister remembering 3 murdered girls. Someone who thinks that is the time to make their protest, when at the point we didn't even have the full facts of the case, is the person acting in the wrong, and they should not be held up as somebody that you should meet in the middle. Those people have an issue. And let me say as well that there are lots of legitimate concerns and questions about integration and immigration and all those things. We just had a general election. They were discussed lots. Nigel Farage often gets them on the front pages. It's not like the country doesn't ask these questions. But these were people going out and rioting and being thugs, saying it was Islamism and immigration, when the person accused is a British Christian, not a Muslim and not an immigrant. That is the person accused.
I don't think we know his religion, but
it's been widely reported that he's a Christian.
But Benjamin, the concern more, as far as I'm concerned, isn't just the immigration, asylum seekers and religion. I think it's the breakdown of law and order. I think that's the concern. People are feeling...
People like you celebrate this breakdown of law and order. That is the truth of it. We have had a week. We have had a week of people from the hard right, racist and anti-immigration people, celebrating what is going on the streets because they think it legitimises their bigotry.
That's pretty out of order for you to say that. You need to retract that.
No, I
don't celebrate violence on the streets. I condemn all violence.
Well, condemn the people that have been violent this week.
condemn them.
Condemn everyone and call them the far right, just like Keir Starmer did.
Any skin colour, any religion, violence on our streets solves nothing. I condemn it all. I condemn all of it. So please retract that. I'm not having that.
Well, I'm glad you've retracted it. I think there's a lot of people...
You're going to retract it?
On your part, but not on other people's part, because there has been a delight, a glee among some people at the riots of this week, because they think it legitimises their conclusions, and their conclusions are not. They talk about the working class in such a patronising way, as though they're all sort of tattooed Nazis. That's offensive.
We're going to have to move on to our next break, but I think it's important to just say that if you've made that accusation against Ben and it's incorrect, then maybe your accusation...
You can go and make me a cup of tea now, Ben, for that.
Yeah.
Right?
And also important, very, very briefly, to mention that one of the people who was there when Keir Starmer laid those flowers, who was very upset by it, was somebody who said that they knew one of the nine-year-old who was murdered. So it is absolutely not right to tar everyone with the same brush. But anyway...
Sorry, Emma, just as a very quick plug for the Trump interview, I asked Eric Trump about his thoughts on Sir Keir Starmer, David Lammy, the comments that Lammy previously made about Donald Trump. So all that's coming up. We've got a few clips later on in this show and the full lot in Mark Dolan's show.